What is going on, everyone? It's Zigzag here. Welcome back to another GeoGuessr video, and I have some good news for you today. So I've been grinding pretty hard recently for the AI generated world no moving panning or zooming record, and today I was finally able to take it with my best ever score of 40. Now, unlike our second place record that we got the other day on a community world, this one involved much more luck. So we had a really nice run to be able to beat the world record by 7. And as you can see, AI generated world is definitely a difficult category, so this one is definitely a huge score. What's also kind of crazy about it is that the previous score I'd gotten when I failed was 20, and before that, the exact streak before that was 15. So I potentially could have actually had 75 if I actually got those 50-50s. Now, obviously that's a massive what if, but I'm just saying, like, I was on a hot streak today. So let's just see how it went here. Yeah, I'll explain the rounds and let's just see how it went down. Okay, first one here is fairly easy. I mean, actually without any language, it could have been a struggle, but because we had a bit of like a Bengali or whatever like Bangladeshi languages here, and we had the Generation 4 camera, it ended up being pretty simple. I sent in the north of Bangladesh and ends up being correct. Okay, next one here is actually a round again that could have been difficult, but we had bollards in the distance here to save us. So obviously these ones I could tell were the Hungarian ones, and we just send not too difficult of a round. Number 3 here is for some reason facing away from the road, but it's just too dry to be somewhere in Canada, and we had rumble strips. Next one here on the right hand side of the screen, you can see that it's maximum 100 instead of speed limit 100. Obviously they use miles in the United States as well, so that would be way too fast, so it had to be Canada here. Wasn't entirely sure where, but we had double yellow lines, so I decided to go Quebec here. I think I did anyway. Yeah, I go Quebec, and it ends up being in Newfie, interestingly. But yeah, not the best guess. We got it right, though. So next one here, we have bollards. This is like an Asian style of bollard, and with all these palms, oil palms, then pretty much has to be somewhere in Malaysia. And the bollards you only find on the mainland, so that is pretty easy. I go for it quickly here, and we end up being close, and it's a 20,000 seed to get us to number 5. But 5 is already decent. Let's see how much further we can get. This one, we got the white lines, we're driving left, so it has to be somewhere in Australia. I thought maybe this road, and it ended up being the right road, but just much further west there. This one with like these kind of dry bushes and like dirt road coverage, that's very like typical of Botswana, especially when the like leaves are dead on the on these bushes. It's very like typical of Botswana. So I kind of thought west, then I opt for like middle, and it ends up being kind of southwest there. Next one here is just like kind of a standard Eswatini ridge, so that was pretty easy. We get 19 kilometers away. Apologies for going so quickly through the rounds, but you know, I've been going for so many attempts, it's just not worth it to dwell on these first 10 rounds. You just get them out of the way as fast as you can. Anyway, next one here, we have fairly sizable cacti, so I was thinking probably Baja California or that kind of area, and I'm getting a really close guess here. Just by chance, I'm 13 kilometers away, so definitely can't complain about that one. But okay, let's get through to the next one here. Next one is fairly easy. This is like a Hungarian style of kilometer marker or something like that. And then we do have like holy poles in the distance. Now, this could have been a difficult one if I wanted to make it hard for myself. Like, it could potentially have been Poland, I guess, but I just thought I recognized this as probably being a Hungarian sign. And so I just go for it quickly here instead of dwelling on it too much. And it does indeed obviously end up being in Hungary. We get 21,000 there on our second game, and we're up to 10. So already a third of the way to the world record. You can see it is a difficult map, although, like, as I said, on this occasion, we got lots of forgiving rounds. This one, we have the yellow and white lines with the bollards here, so this one should just be a fairly easy New Zealand. Kind of opted for North Island here, got pretty close, that was good. Next one here, we got low camera, we got these kind of white painted guardrails, and yeah, just Japanese architecture in the background as well. Pretty easy Japan, just opt for near Tokyo here, ends up being a bit further southwest. Okay, next one here, again, this is actually one of the more difficult rounds of the seed. Like, architecture is somewhat helpful here for getting that it's Hungary. We have wooden poles as well with like a little concrete thing at the bottom. That's quite common in Hungary as well. And also like rows of trees. So all in all, definitely Hungary the most likely with the winter coverage here. However, like Czechia, even like a North Bulgaria were still possible. It was just that like Hungary definitely the more likely of the 3. And like when I'm on 12, I'm just going for the most likely here, obviously. And yeah, I just take a quick check. It was all fitting, so I went for it. Okay, next one here basically would be a difficult round if it was in Generation 3, but because it's Gen 2, that pretty much alleviates any 50-50. And then these kind of flatter mountains in the distance definitely made me think of Lesotho, so I decided to click nearby there, and you'll see I get pretty close here. But yeah, that Generation 2 definitely coming in clutch here for getting the country, and it indeed was 29 kilometers away. Very nice. Okay, next one here is a very easy round. We've got low camera plus these short white number plates at the front. That should always be somewhere in Switzerland. Now, I wanted to get a decent guess here. I didn't really read the language, so I just went off vibes of the buildings. I went in very far south in Lugano. Obviously, it was actually French-speaking, so it was Geneva, but it was actually in the far reaches. We get 23,000 points there, so not a bad seat. We head through to yet another round that would have been extremely difficult were it not for these bollards. These blue reflector bollards with the big white top, that's always going to be somewhere in Hungary in my experience. And so, again, we had tons of Hungary in these seeds, and hey, I was taking them. Okay, next one here definitely required quite a bit of thought. I mean, generally speaking, I thought it had more of an American landscape. I thought these trees were slightly more United States than Canada. Obviously, this wooden pole would put us in either country. Now, I think if, like, Chicago Geographer was explaining this round or something, he'd definitely say that, like, this fence is probably, like, regional specific to kind of more Middle America or something like that. I do believe that, but as for me, I wasn't quite sure, and I actually was quite worried that this could be Canada too. I end up opting for US just because of, like, more of, like, that kind of, like, lush look inside the trees that I thought maybe indicated US more. Now, in hindsight, we also have kind of like a southern pine here, or like a definitely like one that would be more typical for the South US. Anyway, I opt for actually on Ohio here, just in case it ends up being Canada, and it was all the way in the south coast of the US. So not really the best guess, but we got the right country, so that's fine. Next one here is like very hazy, in a way that like looks like there's a lot of air pollution. So definitely thinking of Bangladesh for that reason. This like truck in front of us also like typical Bangladesh, I would say. So we go for it, and it was indeed West Bangladesh there, not even a bad guess. Next one here, we got single yellow line. This is another round that had the potential to be difficult if we had a double yellow line, but with the single yellow line, again, it really wasn't that hard. So we're already approaching the world record here. My personal best at this point was 29. So really not going too badly, and with a lot of forgiving rounds. This one, we could basically see the reflection of the roof rack here at the bottom of the screen, and white painted trees should always be Kyrgyzstan. Okay, so there we go. We're on 20. Now the adrenaline starts to rise, that's for sure. But we get another easy round here. It just says Brazil, so really quite standard stuff. This was an easy Brazil. I just said it was all the way in Accra. Next one actually did give me some pause for thought here. I thought it might look maybe Southern European. In the end though, I was pretty convinced that this number plate was black and this number plate was black, and black number plates basically appear nowhere in Europe, so I was thinking Tunisia for that reason. The fact that we had like kind of North Ocean here was a little concerning, but definitely there are certain places that fit that. I just go for Tunis, and it ends up being further south. Okay, next one here may have been a repeat, or may have just been a really similar round to what I'd seen before, but I just remember like being in BC with some people and them knowing this specific region, so I decided to go. I think it's like Mulga, or yeah, it says Mugla on the actual bus stop there. I didn't realize that. I just remembered the vibes. I think it actually was a repeat there because it said it on the bus stop. But anyway, I remember the vibes, so that's nice. Next one here had the potential to be difficult again. We had the sun north, meaning southern hemisphere was easily more likely, and this green sign as well though. I think this could have been like tough, kind of like a South America Europe toss up with the white lines. But yeah, with the sun like that, actually ends up being quite easy, and we just go for Chile here. It is correct, and we're good. Next one here is one of those rounds that would be pretty easy without the Google car, but with the Google car, it's just guaranteed because we've got this black Google car with a short antenna here. So yeah, that pretty much guarantees that it's somewhere in Colombia there. It was indeed very far north there. Another 20k, and we are going decently here. Okay, next one here. We're on 25 streak. We get another potentially difficult round here. Now, I'm not allowed to zoom in, of course, but I'm straining my eyes, and I see a French flag and a British flag on this sign in front of us. Given that is the fact, I was thinking that France is easily most likely, because obviously with these like kind of eucalyptus looking trees on the left hand side of the screen, it doesn't really feel like it's going to be anywhere near England. And I would expect there to be like an Italian flag or a Spanish flag if we were on one of the borders with those two countries. So I guess by process of elimination, this pretty much has to be France. I opt for Montpellier, and it ends up being closer to Nice. Next one here is a fairly easy Senegal. We have pole tops that indicate Senegal, and so yeah, it was easy with the desert. Next one here had the potential to be a difficult round. Like you have these kind of dry mountains, this fence, like I don't know, like rock wall here as well, very relevant to the round. As for me, I thought there were other countries that were possible, maybe like a weird Greece or maybe like a weird Italy or something like that. But ultimately, just this landscape screams Croatia, and I thought I'm just gonna go for Croatia fast. Like I'm never gonna change my mind. If I look at it for 10 10 minutes. I'm never changing my mind. So let me just go quickly here. And I end up going quickly, and look, we're 9.8 kilometers away, basically on the right sections of road there, so that's pretty good. Okay, next one here is the hardest round of the whole streak here, definitely my most proud round, and let's check it out. So, we have like some fences here, fairly green landscape, bunch of trees. Immediately a few countries came to mind, maybe like Latvia, Hungary, that kind of thing. Also Poland came to mind, and as soon as I thought Poland, I really liked it. Reason being, we have like kind of a dash on the outside of the road here as well as a solid line. I mean, like Poland, you know, that both of those configurations are quite possible. And then also, like, one thing I discovered recently when I was doing some research on road lines myself is that Poland often has like a thicker outer line than the inner line. Like Czechia, Slovakia, I know there are a bunch of European countries that do this as well, but I don't think Hungary does it. At least as I was in the game, I didn't think that was the case. So because of the thicker outer line here, I was pretty confident with Poland already. Then just the fact that it was so flat, like Slovakia and Czechia, quite unlikely. And then I looked at like the red roof peeking through, and like this kind of fence also felt quite Polish to me. Yeah, I kind of just liked it better. This also felt like new Gen 4, and Poland got new Gen 4 recently as well. So everything definitely added up more for Poland to me here. Yeah, like I was on 28. I was a bit worried that it could be wrong, but ultimately I liked my guess and it ended up being correct, so that was great. Okay, next one here. We have like a very bright camera here. We have a double antenna, which I think is quite a Latvia thing, and then we have like a very typical Latvian pole, wooden with 3 hooks, one on each side alternating, and yeah, that was enough for me to say that this is probably Latvia. Could have been another country still, but I like Latvia. Ends up being the other side of the country, and we get 22,000 there. Okay, very nice indeed. Let's head through to the next one here, which is again a moderately difficult round. Ultimately, I think this is like quite an easy choice, but it still could have been other countries. So with this like really tall wooden pole in the distance, given that we have like these white outer lines, looks like Europe, I thought like Greece just has to be most likely here. Well, also rock walls fit. Now there are other countries that are possible. For example, Spain, quite possible here. We also have like Croatia as an outside possibility, maybe even like southern Italy. But ultimately, like out of all those options, with this like kind of like rolling hills in the background, rolling mountains, I would say, like kind of round undulating mountains, and this wooden pole, I think like Greece just has to make sense. I paused my music there, and yeah, really lock in. At this point, like I was pretty much like happy to just go for Greece pretty quickly, and that's what I did. Okay, so there we go, finally making the guess here. It was actually in Crete, didn't pick up the vibe, but that's fine. Okay, next one here is fairly easy for Bulgaria. We have like a very Bulgarian tiled roof here that's kind of like a square shape. Chimneys on the roofs here definitely makes sense for Bulgaria as well. And then we have like a commie car, which I would just associate with like being closer to Russia, I guess. I don't really know if that's actually consistent at all. I didn't even look at the poles, but they're definitely like fitting for Bulgaria. So I think if I thought for longer here, I would be happy to like I would have gotten it pretty handily. Doesn't really, like this hill on the left hand side of the screen is also probably too big to be Hungary as well. So yeah, just a fairly simple and good Bulgaria there. Ends up being on the border. Next one here, we're on 32. So this is the round to tie the world record with Diono, and we got a pretty easy one. So double yellows in the center here, and then we have like kind of like a swiveling wooden pole here. Definitely not a difficult round with that. Definitely like fits the green part of Bolivia quite nicely. Now it could have still been other countries, but really, like, yeah, like Brazil's just not fitting anywhere near as good, and it would be a really weird Peru. So yeah, just had to be Bolivia there basically. Next one here had the potential to be a difficult round. However, once again, we just get saved by the bollard, and like by the time I looked at the bollard, I knew it was going to be somewhere in Latvia, and then I looked over here and I saw the Latvian flag. I was like, thank you very much. We have the world record on our hands here. Very nice indeed. Have a very, very fortunate round there, because the thing is, if you go and try this map, like 1 in every 5 rounds, at least for me, so maybe more for you, 1 in every 5 rounds is just about ungettable. So basically I just need to go on a long streak of not getting any ungettable rounds, and that's what we happen to get here. Anyway, next one here is just icing on the cake. We've got the yellow guardrail here, which in combination with this pole is found in just the prefecture of Yamaguchi in Japan. We also have like a red roof over here, which is quite common in that area of Japan as well, and it was indeed right there. So there we go. We are sitting on 35 now. Now, how far can we push it here? How far can we push it is the question. We get a relatively simple round next, but because I'm on 35, I'm actually psyching myself out here. So first things first, I wanted to work out, is this actually a white plate indeed? Looking back, it's so obviously a white plate, but just the fact that there's like a glare in my eyes, like from the sun here, I for some reason wasn't sure, and so I'm looking at it, and it really looks like a long plate here. And I was wondering, do they even get plates that long in like Ireland? Because obviously UK uses yellow plates on the back, Ireland uses white ones, so that's what I'm thinking here while I'm looking at it. I thought it just kind of seemed a little bit too long for an Irish plate for some reason. Ultimately, like, reason got the better of me here. I had to go Ireland. It wasn't a yellow plate. Ireland and UK are just my least favorite toss-up on this map, so I really didn't want to screw up, but ultimately that was just the logical choice here. It certainly was a bit strange that we didn't have any blue strip there, but it ends up being just in Ireland, so that's a really pleasing result. And the next one, man, we just kept on getting rounds that suit my skill set here, or that are just pretty easy. And this one was like a concrete pole with the Victorian pole top, and with this landscape, that should basically always land you in the great city of Melbourne. And so I thought east suburbs here makes the most sense, and it was kind of far east suburbs there. And the next one here, again, relatively simple. Like, for example, the infrastructure was probably too nice for Mexico, and then if I look on the right-hand side of the screen, we got like a cube car, which I thought was just the most Californian thing ever. I just don't think you really see that in Mexico. And then, yeah, the poles also just looking much more American, in my opinion, as well. All added up to me going, like, near LA here as like, being the most likely option. And, yeah, I just didn't really see anything possible here. Like, Mexico's just, I mean, Mexico unlikely, and Canada just not possible. I click LA, ends up being near Oxnard there. Shout outs to Save the Snail. And the next one here, we got some white number plates here. We're driving right. We got white road lines and fairly dry hills here. So really, I mean, the options aren't too many, because it could have been Spain or something like that, but we have a short white number plate here, which just wouldn't make sense. So basically the only thing that makes sense here with all these clues combined is just Chile. So that's all I've got to go for here on 38. And so that's exactly what we do, just clicking slightly north of Santiago there, or slightly south instead. And we're greeted on 39 with a low camera here, and well, that's just going to be somewhere in Switzerland, isn't it? So very nice indeed. We love to see those. We get to 40, the huge milestone here with a 23.7, and let's see what's on the next round. And so this is what I was greeted with. We had like kind of like an English-speaking country style of post box here. Wasn't really sure what I thought of that one, but yeah, definitely that kind of thing. We have like wooden posts on the fences here for the fields, and yeah, just kind of a quite generic landscape here. Now this round was totally gettable in hindsight. I tend not to use the position of the sun too much when there are so many clouds in the sky, because often the clouds kind of cast the rays of sun that are actually like behind you or something like that, so that it looks like the sun's in front of you, but it's actually not. In this occasion, I probably should have checked out the sun a little bit more here, because it is quite clearly more so to the north, which really would have helped. But I was kind of between UK and Ireland myself. And an important thing to remember here is that AI generated world is full of bait locations, and there are just an incredible amount of Irish locations on AI Gen, whether it be Northern Ireland or the Republic. So I was just kind of thinking that that was most likely here. But obviously I end up being wrong here. Now the big thing that could have helped me get this beyond the landscape and the fact that there was kind of a bit of reddish soil inside like the ground here is that if you actually look in, you can definitely see a possum guard on this pole, and it's kind of like a silverish one. Now if it was further up the pole, I think I would have gotten the round maybe, but unfortunately, like, I just didn't look hard enough to get it. Also, I was about to film a video with Jake Lyons over for his channel. We were about to play some Australian together, and I had like 2 minutes or 3 minutes until he was going to get here. So I was like, hey, I'm just going to go. I got the world record. I'm actually pretty satisfied with 40, and I just went for the guess pretty quickly here. So I ended up opting for the Republic of Ireland here, and as we're going to see, that is going to be incorrect. Now, where was it actually? You may have guessed, it was actually in North Island, New Zealand there. In hindsight, quite a gettable round there. I actually played out the rest of the seed to see what it would have been, and the next 3 rounds were pretty easy. Round number 45 was another Ireland and Northern Ireland toss-up, believe it or not, and I actually failed that one when I just quickly skimmed through it, so probably would have ended at 44 had I not failed here, which is fine. But hey, 40 in a row, guys. Very proud of it. Obviously, as you guys saw, not the hardest rounds here when it comes to AI Gen, but hey, I made it happen. I didn't choke, so I have to be proud of myself for that. And guys, I say thank you very much for watching the video. Thank you for all the support. It means a lot to be able to get this record before I start full-time work in 2 weeks, so we'll have to see what kind of direction the channel takes after that. I should be still pretty consistently uploading. But guys, thank you very much for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Till next time, goodbye.